That's good for you.
I was just trying to make sure that we're not. Hello.
Hey, we're just trying to get our what is it?
The look.
Angle.
When Chantel's got that sexy low voice,
Oh well, let me perk up.
I'm trying to make sure that we're not. Your beautiful face isn't drowned out by the beautiful seed and
Right.
bean sign behind you.
But it's all good. How you doing, Cindy?
I'm good.
How's everybody doing?
Thursday.
We hope you all are off to a productive week. Listen, welcome back to Juice. This is Fresh Talk. We try to keep up with the latest that's going on in government, local government, in society, and just culture. We just try to cover whatever comes to our mind. Actually, we actually never plan. And speaking of never plan, we got some unfortunate and unexpected news this past week. City of Fort Myers Police Chief Derek Diggs passed away, and wow, it's just one of those things. We knew he was out sick for a while on medical leave, and I believe it was Chief Pepitone took over temporarily here in Fort Myers. And what a loss.
Yeah.
Chief Diggs originally from Ohio, and it's kind of one of those things that it takes death sometime for us to pause and just appreciate people and love on people and slow down and remember that all of this is really temporary. And so we want to give a shout out to Chief Diggs. It takes a unique person to come into another person's city and to get a grip on things and to reunite people. And sometimes that's what it takes. We need outsiders, but to the Fort Myers Police Department, we just want to extend our condolences to you, to the city of Fort Myers, all those who were impacted, because I saw a couple of interviews. I did one interview, and I saw people really crying real tears over a police chief. And it's not, as much heck as the police are catching these days. When people are crying real tears, people mean it. And it just proves that there is light in everyone, in every organization, in every entity, just like there is darkness. But shout out to Chief Diggs for turning things around for the city of Fort Myers. Yeah. And I know you know a lot more about it than I do.
Well, I was just going to say Chief Diggs came in at the time that the Fort Myers Police Department was under a lot of trouble, a lot of scrutiny, something actually that we talked about
in the last interview,
in the interview with Mayor Kevin Anderson.
Right.
The free report.
So after the free report, Chief Diggs came in.
He was hired in. And yeah, he did a lot to change the culture, which we talked about. There had been leadership vacuums. Yeah. There were internal and external racial issues, community issues. And he really took the helm and led the police department and rebuilt the relationship with the community.
He stood in the face of a lot of adversity coming from all sides. He maintained his cool. He didn't step out of character. He maintained authority, true authority. And that's the difference between authority that you're trying to force on somebody and that true authority where people will respect you. They may not like what you've done, your decisions, what you stand for, especially in any leadership position. And yeah, the last time I talked to Chief Diggs, I was in my candidacy for the city of Fort Myers Ward 3 seat. And I talked about his perspective on crime and his perspective on the growth of the police department. And he said one of the things that he has been advocating for is getting a brand new police department here in the state of the art. Because he's like, our officers have to be trained. Look at these old buildings, and I get it. Like, I was in Police Explorer in that little building, and it's cool. It's vintagey. But that state, to keep up with the state of art training, and he has some wins under his belt. Like, wasn't Fort Myers named one of the safest cities?
Yep.
And that's wild. But Fort Myers is growing, and that was a step in the right direction. So I just hope, whoever comes after him is able to, continue that legacy and increase it. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to law enforcement in general at this time.
Well, and I also wanted to say that one of the things that was positive and that made Chief Diggs a positive leader was your relationship with him and the other folks in the Fort Myers Police Department that came as a result of the peaceful protests during the 2020 protest after the murder of George Floyd.
Right.
So, you know, you took the initiative, you and other folks from the peaceful protests reached out, but started to have dialogues with the police departments
Absolutely.
here about what the expectations are, what needs to be changed, and how you didn't want to see something.
And the conversation with Chief Diggs, like he led it. He truly led it. Like, of course, we initiated the conversation and say, let's see what the city of Fort Myers can do. We always say protesting is one thing, but we got to move this thing on to legislation, to policies being changed, to attitudes being changed. Let's not forget the attitudes are important. So yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but
now our coffee is here, so we got a little
I
distracted.
got all distracted because you got me off topic. But he was talking to me about the changes that he wanted to see. They needed gun ranges and stuff, and we talked about real relationships. Like I said, I only had a handful of conversations with Chief Diggs, but man, it's sad. It's a sad time right now.
He also availed the other leaders in the department to participate in these discussions, in these community discussions. And that's leadership too. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was always in every single conversation, but he made it clear that the voice of the community and the voice of the people was part of the process.
Yeah, it was considered. So I remember when we were planning the prayer vigil, the candlelight vigil for Tyre Nichols, I remember I was doing an interview, and it was with Fox. Yeah, it was with Fox. And in this interview, I talked about how this feels a little bit different, right? Because when we're protesting, these cops are still employed after we all see what just happened in the murder of George Floyd. And people are like, yeah, we got to investigate it. The police departments are like, we got to investigate it. But here we see swift action. And I praise Chief Diggs for, like you just said, he included us. He made sure our voices were not ignored. He made sure that we were represented, and he was not stressed out about it, at least from my perspective, because it must be tough being a police officer. It must be tougher being a Black police officer, because I can see how you're going to catch it from your own community, from your own people, because of some of the attitudes that you stand against and you work against. So, yeah,
it's tough. And actually, it was tough in the context of the Tyre Nichols case as well, because many of the officers that were involved in his death were also Black officers. And so there's a whole other conversation about race and policing on both sides of the badge.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyway, so
check out that interview we did with Mayor Kevin Anderson. Now to give you a little bit of insight into the free report. Again, we talking about how the city of Fort Myers was able to turn things around in a positive direction when it comes to policing. So wow, like shout out to Chief Diggs once again. But we have some stuff to get into tonight because I missed last week because I was out. Listen, I was diagnosed with COVID and they say GI issues are common when children have COVID. I'm like, wow, so I need to grow up, huh?
Yeah.
Because like, why do I have this childish disorder or whatever? Like, so anyway.
So wait, let me pause one moment because I wanted to say part of what we did, because we just released yesterday the edited version of last week's Juice, and part of that is a memoriam to Chief Diggs. I'm not sure if you saw that yet.
I didn't see it yet.
Yeah, because I did a surprise for you.
I've been busy.
So it was a surprise, but we did. So you sent me that beautiful quote, and then the video. So I incorporated that. It's at the beginning of the last podcast, and then we shared it, the short memoriam of just over a minute on the Big Mouth Media Instagram page. So you should check that out. It includes a very honorable quote from Chantel honoring Chief Diggs.
Thank you for Cindy puts in the work, and but I'm getting better. I'm about to start really putting my best foot forward and working harder and helping you out. Cindy, like, okay, girl, yeah, sure. Just keep.
Hey, listen, we're just here to do what we can.
Yeah.
I am just happy when we can make a difference and get our voice out there. That's what this is about.
Like, for what? Why not? And why are you all not sitting here with us at Seed and Bean, hanging out with us? We got somebody listening, and see, we're growing. 1 week it's my mother, the next week is somebody else. Look, We growing.
And get here.
Impact.
We start our broadcast at 6, but if you get here at 5:30, or even if you come a little bit at the end, you can have a coffee with us.
And you can buy me a coffee.
Chat.
If you get here at 5:30, you'll be able to buy me a
coffee. We
coffee.
can do. We'll get a little bit of that CBD afterwards.
Yeah.
Get some relaxation time too.
But listen, I gotta ask you a question. So I listen to the news, which I rarely listen to local news, but I heard that the city manager for the city of Cape Coral was fired. Like they say it took them less than 30 seconds to come to that decision, I believe. What happened? What that man do?
I don't know.
I know you know. You do know. That's the thing. Don't start off with that.
Okay. So this is actually the new-ish city manager. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was hired in 2020. So kind of like in the middle of the pandemic. The previous city manager for Cape Coral was here for several years. He actually came from Michigan, was run out of Michigan, actually, but that's a whole nother story. So the new fella was in for just about 2 years, and he made some people mad.
That's so interesting because in our interview with Mayor Anderson, he talked, and we keep referring to that interview. Go check it out. The Juice's interview with Kevin Anderson. He was a little chill and a little loose, not all, governmental officially. But, we had an interesting conversation, and he talked about how one of the toughest decisions he had to make, and he got a lot of, I guess, pushback for it, was he fired. One of his first actions upon holding that seat, he fired the city manager. So now
pushed a vote to fire the city manager because it has to go through the city council.
It has to go through the city council. Mm-hmm. But that was the first order of business. And now we see this gentleman. What's up with the city managers? But it shows that we ain't afraid to fire somebody if you ain't doing the job.
So I don't know the ins and outs of it. What I had heard from people who work for the city of Cape Coral is that people were displeased with the Hurricane Ian response. In particular, they were mad that there was supposed to be this brand new system that was supposed to make permitting possible,
right?
And the system was not doing a good job. And so that meant the building was delayed, construction was delayed, repairs were delayed, so people were mad. That's what I know. But if you think about the political side, so here's the thing. In cities like Fort Myers and Cape Coral, they have what's called weak mayor systems.
Weak mayor?
So that means there's a mayor and a city manager. In other places where they have a quote strong mayor, the city manager is the mayor.
So the city manager does both. So we got a weak mayor system here.
Right. So what that means is
in Cape Coral and in Fort Myers.
Yes. So the mayor is just the chair of the city council. But in the strong mayor system, they're the chair of the city council and the city manager. So that means they have governance and management capabilities. So what we see right now is political fallout for basically like the person that's the other half of the mayor.
Right. I got you. That's tough. But nevertheless, I guess they're searching for a new city manager. So shout out to Cape Coral. I don't know anything about Cape Coral, actually. It's like a whole new world when I go over there.
It's huge,
truly it is. Yeah.
And I can tell you that one of the other very tough things about being the city manager in Cape Coral is they have a huge infrastructure project. And the cost per person, do you know how much it is? $31,000
per person.
So that's like what is going to be taxed over several years.
Oh, we paying for it, y'all.
Well, Cape Coral people are paying for it.
But I know we must be paying for some stuff over here too in Fort Myers because stuff is growing. Don't try to.
We do.
See, you lived in Cape Coral at one point.
No, I worked in Cape Coral. I ran a homeless organization there.
Really?
Yep.
Every time I talk to Cindy, I learn something new about her. And I'm just sitting like, how do you know all this stuff about a strong mayor and a weak mayor? But that's amazing. Did they teach you that in high school? What high school did you go to?
I went to West Bloomfield High School in Michigan.
See, I knew it was something I ain't heard of. But anyway,
It's because I'm like a super nerd. I'm like a vacuum for
Yeah.
politics.
okay.
So every time there's something there, I'm just like, I read
Yeah,
it.
and this why I love you, and this why this right here why I hangs with you so much. So anyway,
I'm not the cool one. I'm the
right. No, you are the cool one because the cool one's trying to be like you for real. But anyway, so I found my taxes, right? What's up? Will I be getting a tax return because of this government shutdown? Or, I mean, what's going on? Like, tell me because I really don't know.
for taxes.
Like,
Filed your taxes,
yeah,
federal taxes.
right. And
Yeah, probably.
state. But somebody said
We don't
because
have
of what's
state
going
taxes.
Okay. Well, somebody told me that not somebody told me. I heard it on C-SPAN. Shout out to C-SPAN, your unfiltered view
Who's
of
the
government.
nerd now?
No, but clearly I don't know much about it because somebody was saying that what's going on with the government and maybe the debt ceiling conversation
Oh.
is going to cause us to not get a tax. So I'm going to get one in when it's time. Is that
File
what
it
you're
now.
saying?
File it now.
Right.
So okay, so that's about the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is
Don't
just
try
a
to-
whole other thing.
See, don't
But
worry
what
about it.
so
Ain't
what
gonna
she's
ask no
concerned
more
about? So I
questions.
understand. Listen, this is what it is. This is a discussion about funding the government, right? So basically, the government credit card is going to run out in July, and the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate have to determine whether or not they're going to raise the debt ceiling and basically say,
Yeah.
let our the
When the
Crystal's
eye
here.
came on. Hey,
Okay,
Crystal,
good.
what's up?
So if the debt ceiling is hit in July,
Okay.
the government will shut down, and that means that we may not have those IRS
Yeah.
filings processed. So file it now, and you should have no problem.
Because we could potentially run into issues because President Biden addressed the nation and he said something about Republicans are determined to send us into a
Yeah.
they don't want to pay the debt or something. They're
Yeah.
refusing to pay the debt.
So the debt ceiling is an arbitrary amount
Uh-huh.
that was a financial and fiscal decision that says, okay, we can only have this much debt.
Yeah.
However, we pass a budget every year that goes beyond that. So it almost makes like
So
the
we gotta
budget.
cut something.
Well,
or we
not
may boost
necessarily.
it.
No, we can't. So this is actually, so we've already budgeted for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to pay those bills. So this is literally the credit card. So
Okay.
we've already said that we're going to pay this. We've agreed to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
But because we had this rule that said we're not going to pay more than this,
Right.
even though we agreed to pay more,
Right.
that's the discussion.
That's the discussion.
So-
Anyway, file your taxes early.
File your taxes early
the
to make
gist
sure
of
you
that.
get it. So do that to make sure, because you don't want to get messed up in the summer, because there are extreme people in Congress, these really staunchly fiscally conservative, very on the right. Byron Donalds, our representative, is one of these folks. They're funded by Club for Growth, which is a super PAC that's into fiscal austerity. Okay. And they made it clear that if there wasn't the cuts, they were going to mess with the debt ceiling.
I heard President Trump is coming to Fort Myers in April. You gonna try to hang out? You gonna try to go?
No. Oh, no. But I saw that.
Yeah, President Trump will be in Fort Myers for those of y'all want to spend that cash. You say you coming?
He's not coming.
Oh, not coming.
Yeah, so
I would go to that. I would go to that.
What? Oh my
I would
God,
go.
girl.
I would go. I'll be
Why?
needing to feel stuff. I need to feel what that is all about. A different perspective that is so like, I want to know what you know how they say it's harder to hate up close. No, it's for real. They say that. And like I told you in this conversation with these last you are part of this.
Yeah, you're in
You
the
are
audience.
us. We are you. You didn't interrupt. But you know, like I've told you before, and you know my history where, you know, sometimes recently, I've been invited to speak in front of large Republican crowds, much different than myself. And I had the opportunity to have that seat at the table in terms of being a speaker, being a representative, a mouthpiece. But it was quite the exchange. But it's necessary because I get it. Like some people, there's degrees to this, right? And anytime somebody has the attention of such the grasp of people, you have to want to understand that to a certain degree. You have to want to not necessarily learn from it. I know we have that ambition conversation, but it is maybe an ambition of curiosity and of seeing, I guess, recognizing your own power. Like I said, people say, oh, the Republicans just using you, Chantel. How y'all know I ain't using too? How y'all know I ain't out here building bridges and carrying messages and carrying perspectives and understandings that people do not have and that I want to share with them. So I wouldn't mind being in that space. Cindy's gonna end up dropping me from this network with my Cindy gonna end up dropping me from this Big Mouth Media.
The sanctimonious Meatball Ron.
Man,
that's
so
hilarious.
so Trump then came for so you, even that right there, that's something y'all got in common. Y'all both can't stand Ron DeSantis, correct?
Well, I mean, that's an internal power structure.
Every time I look at Cindy and we had this Republican conversation, I feel this little glimpse of disappointment in her eyes, and it meets my eyes, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, Cindy.
It's okay. I want to know, like, what I get it. Listen, here's the thing. This has always been my line about Trump.
It's like not big enough for me to like the hearts and minds, and it goes back to the attitude of people. And ultimately, I believe that can shift. I don't look at it as completely political. There's a spiritual aspect to it. There's an emotional aspect to it. There's a social aspect to it. And you are not getting anywhere if you just isolate yourself. That's how I feel.
So that's actually, you're touching on so many of the things that people find attractive about Trump. It's a team. You're Team Trump. You're not even Team Republican or Democrat.
Yeah. It's family. It's gang activity. It's family.
Cult.
It's
sports team.
For a lot of people to be able to get behind somebody like that and to feel accepted and seen, you better pay attention. That is a message in that, because one thing I'll say about Republicans since I've been paying attention to politics is that they seem much bolder. They seem to carry much more of it. Now, when you bust some of that open with facts and with truth, and they still maintain such a position, then you have to understand, then you have to think, is this just a facade and you just out here just trying to be hateful and divisive and push an agenda? And I think people have to ask themselves that question. I got hope for people.
I think it's different. I think different people are playing different games. So let me give you an example, because I know who's been invited to that meeting too. So it is Mike Thompson, who's the chair of the Lee Republican Committee.
Shout out to Mike Thompson.
That's her boo.
That is okay. See, now they finna start.
I got the Tinder pics though, y'all.
Now they finna start a room about me and Mike. Mike, let me give you some insight on who Mike is. Mike is who brought me into such proximity with such different Republican conservative people. But when I think about it, they're not all that different. And that's what leads me to this point that I've arrived at. But Michael Thompson, he said, he called me one day out of the blue, like, boy, how you get my number? But he said, I saw your story on ballot harvesting on fake news media, and I wanted to reach out to you. And we kind of start chit-chatting, and he started sharing with me organizations like the America Project and what was all that stuff that they in. And I'm like, okay, it looks, real. You can look at it and say, okay, this is kind of different, and we probably don't share the same views. Nevertheless, I was invited to speak at Election Integrity 2.0 in Orlando, Florida. And that is the moment I said, you know what, it confirmed for me, because it's not my first time being around. I mean, I grew up around people who were different than me, but the conversation wasn't on your political views, right? So it was an interesting, so he kind of helped me understand. He helped me understand nothing. He just invited me to something, and God did the rest. And God is doing the rest. But shout out to Michael, because he caught a lot of hell for, I guess, just endorsing me in my candidacy for Fort Myers City Council. And that's what I'm talking about. So this local journalist took that as an opportunity to say, don't elect Michael Thompson as a Republican chair because he endorsed this girl, Chantel Rhodes, extreme BLM, black. And he's not a journalist. But here's the thing, though. it was so inaccurate. And anyone who truly knows me will just, and that's what I mean about these labels and pushing somebody to a side, because how wrong were you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he doesn't care because he's paid by DeSantis.
But that's the thing. He even literally, the quote said one thing and he changed it and was like, according to Chantel Rhodes, something he said. And I'm like, but the article you just highlighted says something different. And so it's this manipulation. And that's when you can tell people they're getting paid to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I want to go where God sent me. I don't want to be stuck into something because I'm being financed, I'm being fueled, I'm being pushed and forced into something, because you lose your ability to think and to think critically.
Yeah.
That's just,
well, listen, you were a golden ticket for those folks because you actually had actual election integrity infractions.
I don't know. Yeah, some people will say I didn't have an election integrity, but you know,
no. But what happened? The ballot harvesting that happened in your race, which we know, listen, because the same candidate had gotten in trouble for it in the previous election. So listen, you and I talked about it way before that even came out. So we knew.
That's what I'm saying. And because I had to give them a glimpse into Ward 3, into the mindsets of some of the people who were victims of ballot harvesting. Yeah. It is a simple disengagement. It's a simple disengagement. Somebody wrote me on Facebook and said, damn, I regret giving my ballot to her the first time, meaning in the primary. I'm like, why would you do? In my mind, I'm like, but why but it's a trust thing, right?
It's trust, yeah.
I don't even care enough, so here, why not take? And so there are so many things to address besides the actual act. There's all these sub conversations and sub ideas, because it points to a larger issue of people being scammed because they are disengaged, because people perish for a lack of knowledge. And I think that's true all across the board.
There's one thing I want to say about that, because we talked about this a little before. And you were thinking that maybe this was something that was happening a lot in the Black community. And I think that in this community, definitely. But I think that if there was a similar operator going door to door to white seniors, the very same thing would happen.
So seniors are in that class that are targeted for ballot harvesting, non-native English speaking individuals, people that, you know, are kind of disconnected, don't really know. And like I said, are trusting. They say, you know, because it makes sense. I don't know who to vote for.
Right.
If I only know about president, maybe the governor's race. So in the midterm election, especially, people are not tuned in. They don't know who's running for school board for the most part. People do. And when you spend time in these communities, canvassing these communities, you know that. You know, they don't know who the judges are. Even I looked at them judges on my ballot. I'm like, who is these people? I felt that way. You see what I'm saying? And I'm in the most engaged that I've ever been in my adult life politically. So, yeah.
It's tough. Okay, so
but I had to take that perspective and those perspectives to people, because the people that I spoke to hold this idea that Black folk can be kind of lazy. They're welfare queens. And this is something I've been talking about for a few months now, just these stereotypes and these perceptions. And you are voting according to those biases. So somebody has to be able to translate those messages and take those messages, because when you govern people from a variety of political persuasions.
Right.
And so you have to have that ability to listen and to understand. And so with that being said, if anybody is going to that Trump thing, buy me a ticket and we'll see what's up.
So here's the thing. So there's Mike Thompson, who's going to be there.
Of course.
And here's the thing. And I've talked with him as well. And as I told you, like, I think he's, you know, the difference between person and politics are different too. But I actually think that at the local level, we have some folks who are just very involved in their perspective, right?
They're very involved.
But I think that the other folks at the different levels are involved on different levels. So also going to that, so there's Trump. So obviously Trump is out for Trump and he wants to become president again. And he wants to protect his own ass and his money. Okay. That's Trump's perspective. But we also have going to that rally, Roger Stone. Now, Roger Stone's an interesting fellow, to say the least. He has been,
kind of looks like former Vice President Pence.
He looks like if Pence was a porn star.
What?
And like a
Why
really
would you even take it
bad
there?
porn.
That is
'Cause
wild.
He's like the
Like
gross
you took that there so
porn
easily.
brother of Mike Pence. Anyway, so because it's
Porn
actually just
brother.
kind of funny to say porn and Mike Pence in the same sentence. So
Wow.
but Roger, he could be. We don't know.
They want to see you at this point because they like, who's that voice in the wilderness?
Yeah, at least he didn't get killed by his own. But Roger Stone has been a very fascinating political operator since the 70s, you guys. You know that? Like, he was involved in Watergate. All right.
So you
So
gotta
he's
catch
this
me
like
up.
behind the scenes. He was meeting with the Proud Boys on January 4th in Naples.
See, why was they all together
Two
like
of
that?
them at least that have been already indicted on seditious conspiracy and injuring police officers.
And
as
I
part
thought
of
that guy was Michael Thompson. When I looked at the
Oh.
paper, didn't he look kind of like Michael Thompson? I said, dang, they done got my boy Michael for being
No.
at the January 6th.
No. He wasn't. No. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for chatting.
It was nice to meet you too,
Got
dear.
some fans here today. That's nice. Thank you. So that's right. So Porno Mike Pence, Roger Stone, is going to be at this rally, and then you have Byron Donalds, who's the congressman for 19, and then Greg Steube, who's the congressman for 17. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, it makes sense to have the elected officials there, okay? But Greg Steube and Byron Donalds are different folks too. Greg Steube is not supported by Club for Growth. He's in he's got a much easier run up there, and he can kind of be low key, to be honest. But Byron he had to make alliances, and that's why he's a Club for Growth guy. But the thing that's interesting is the relationship between Trump and Roger Stone is close when it needs to be, but far enough away when it doesn't. Because the other thing that's in the mix here is Russian oligarch money. Yes,
Russian
money. Yes,
Lord, y'all be taking off.
Oh, it's pretty wild. Roger Stone.
You can't get this on C-SPAN.
No, this is
by the way. This
so,
is that Cindy Banye juice.
No, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Florida, and it's weirder than you think.
Yeah, that's what they say about Florida.
And so that's why it's like, I think these folks are playing different games. I think folks like Mike Thompson, probably some of the folks that you met at the election integrity conference, that's what they're about, right? Roger Stone is playing this game that he's been playing since the 70s, which is like moving the players around.
So basically, Cindy concerned that I'm finna get caught up with the Russian oligarchs.
No, I'm not concerned about that, but it's good to know who the players are and what game you're playing, because not everybody's playing the same game.
That's one thing I've definitely learned. Like, the game you playing ain't the game I'm playing. The game I'm playing ain't the game she playing.
Right.
So, we all out here. We all doing something. We all about something. And
I'll tell you what, I'm not worried about you at all.
Yeah. I don't want to be lying. I don't want to be out here like sneaking and lying and deceiving people about who I am and what I believe.
No,
and
I think
I've had enough
good.
of that in my life, and I've yet stepped out of that, and thank God for it. And I'm learning still to this day, but I really do want to present that vulnerability of, somebody that's not so soft, not so hard when it comes to this political line, and that can be challenging for some of my friends, but I found acceptance. Thank you.
Well, because, listen,
I still see that glimmer of disappointment in your eyes, though.
Well, just because I don't want you.
So you gonna agree that you disappointed?
No, I just don't want you to go like full Trump, because here's the thing.
I don't know if I'm gonna go full any human being, though. You ever seen?
Stay cynical.
I ain't with full human being since I was obsessed with Erykah Badu way back in college.
Though.
Yeah,
I was obsessed with Erykah Badu in college.
Yeah,
too.
she's obsessible. Yeah, she's easily obsessible.
But anyway, so yeah, it's like, because here it is. Like, I get it. Like, I get the allure. I really do. Like, you have to understand too. I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh. Like, I get that strongness. And when things are uncertain, people are drawn to strength.
Yeah, people are drawn to strength, and that's what it boils down to. So learn the lesson and address the strength and get strong yourself. There's BS in every party. There's glimmers of hope in every party. Yep. And get your strength on. That's what this is all about, that empowerment piece, because why not? Live hard, go hard, but that's another story. But you want to live for real, you better hang around me and Cindy. That is true. People are drawn to strength.
Yeah.
You better get you somebody strong.
Well, and listen, this is one of the big criticisms of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Especially from the middle, right?
The party seemed weak. It seemed kind of fake. It seems like, and it seems emotional, and without, really just getting serious, recognizing the law for what it is, addressing the law. It can be very whiny, at least from people that I've been around. It can seem very like entitled, and it doesn't seem graceful. And then they make it seem as though no progress has been made and this is the worst place to live. Let me tell you something. I'm about to embark on my 35th country. And I can truly say, like, bro, you think it's sweet all over the world? Absolutely not. Like, when it comes to our rights and privileges, and I know you can speak to this in the way we're able to enjoy life and live. And so get in the ball game, but stop all this whining and crying and stuff. Get you some strength.
Yeah. And wow, you got me beat. I'm only at 27.
I had all Pakistan kids, with me in 3 weeks. I think we can get visa on arrival.
Girl, I got these kids.
Bring them. No kids.
All right.
No
so
kids,
listen,
cool.
But so traveling, we really do. And I know that. Like I teach about the government, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is I go, look, we actually have an amazing system. We have room for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And yes, if you go to other countries, there are not that many countries that have the same rights as we do here. Mm-hmm. They're not as many countries that have the same amount of economic development that we have here. So,
but I do understand what comes along with that is wickedness in high places. And so you have to challenge, you have to push, you have to resist, you have to fight back. But you got to do it in such a way where you are using the law, you are supported by the law, you're supported by academics and legislation, and you know what direction to go in. You're not just out here but that's the balance that I think needs to be restored to politics. Yeah. It needs to have a seriousness to it that I don't think oftentimes it does. People take politics these days for a joke, and what you're taking for a joke is government. Yeah. What you're taking for a joke is how people choose to live. But if your elected officials are being a joke, so I don't know. But
that's why I get more concerned about the games that people are playing, right? Because I'm a policy wonk through and through. That's how I know all this stuff, because I want to know how the back end of the government is working, because I want it to work. And we're supposed
to want it to work.
Right. We're supposed to
love this country.
Yes.
You love your people. You love America. That's why I would elect you, because I see that. You don't seem driven by money. Show me what your relationship is like with people, with the people in everywhere. We talked about you everywhere. Cindy is out in these streets. People know Cindy. People know Cindy very well within the Black community and abroad, all throughout Southwest Florida. We came in here tonight to Seed and Bean. And Cindy, this man was like, I know you. Didn't you run for office? That's impact. It's not just her face. It's what you stand for. And one thing about it, you're a people person. So kudos to you for that.
But it's about getting in there and making the government work for people. It's making the government work for people.
Work for people.
And we should have people who are elected who want to do that. We can have different perspectives. Mm-hmm. I get worried when I see people getting elected who are out for themselves.
Yeah, they're out for themselves
and their own power.
And then it's like, where's your time spent among people? What is that looking like in terms of growth for relationships and what those relationships are doing for other people? How are you helping to cultivate the family and the community aspect that we all long for? We love our communities. We love our state. The state of Florida always being like mocked. Like Charlamagne the God say, the craziest people come from Brooklyn and all of Florida or something like that. And then they always talking about Florida. Like, we do have some wild stories coming up out of Florida. So Florida be looking like a clown on the world stage, on the US stage, because like everybody all over the nation is talking about Governor DeSantis, our governor, blocking AP history, AP African American history from high school courses. And then there was an explanation saying that it is different than Black history. they were saying that Black history has not been banned or blocked. However, African American history was, because it had a chapter or a clause about queer theory.
It didn't.
I don't know. I don't know the curriculum.
There's people who have looked it up. That was a fallacy. And here's the thing. This is what I was talking about. People playing different games.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe Ron DeSantis doesn't give two shits whether we have AP African American history or Black history or queer history for that matter. This puts him on the national stage. He can do something. It's a culture war.
It's a culture war. Yeah, and sometimes you got to look like the enemy and look like the clown. And then it's like, dang, who has strong convictions for real? Who has strong beliefs and strong conviction and is not just out here starting stuff and pulling stunts like dropping immigrants off to what do they call
Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, Martha's Vineyard. But what do they call them? Sanctuary? No,
sanctuary cities.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's pulling stunts. And he was asked that in the debate, like, why are you doing that? Why are you just out here pulling stunts? But
because it gets him in the media.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is there's in the right, blogosphere, media. He's a hero. He's a hero.
Yeah, to me.
So you have to. That's the thing that
I can't imagine people being like, "Whoo, that AP African American history. Thank God it's gone. Oh my God."
Yeah, but you can say, listen, and I know because I know these people, but this is what they do. They're like, "Oh, who cares? We're all American. All lives matter." Chantel.
But it's like, why not have it there? Like, what is it doing to you? Like, that's the crazy part. Like, you go out your way to do this, like, but then they blame it on the queers.
Well, because it's about getting back. It's owning the libs. It's let's go, Brandon. It's all this stuff that like
stuff I still don't understand.
It's like because it feels.
See,
good.
when I went to that I went to that Republican festival, they were trying to explain to me what that Brandon, let's go, Brandon. They was trying to explain to me what it meant, and I got it in that moment. But it was something about something effing off in a race car. It was something about a race car in it too.
There was a race car driver. Okay, so what happened was it was a NASCAR race, and everybody that was at the NASCAR race, they were chanting FJB, Joe Biden, and the newscaster, very Pollyanna-ish, said, "Oh, they're talking about you, Brandon, who is like saying, one of the drivers."
Okay.
They're saying, "Let's go, Brandon."
So she was truly oblivious to what they were saying.
Yeah, and so it became kind of this joke.
It's synonymous. F Joe Biden means let's go,
Brandon.
Okay, and that's the same story they told me.
Yes.
And see, that's what I'm saying. I need to be in these spaces to know what y'all be talking about.
It's a joke. It's childish. But listen, here's the thing. It feels good. So there's a lot of people, and this is why being part of the team and having a strong leader is so attractive. So if you feel that everybody up there's a weak,
right,
and they haven't done anything for you,
they
and you can just
boring.
sit here and take pot shots.
Stop being boring.
That feels good,
right?
because it's fighting the man. It's getting back at everybody,
right? It feels like something. It feels like I got something to stand on, and that's culture. Because when I see that shirt, let's go, Brandon, I can look at that, somebody that I don't know, and I can feel, you know what, we shared that moment in time and history together. That's culture.
Inside joke.
Yeah, that's culture.
It's culture. Yep. It's group culture, and this is what we do. Think about it like that. Listen, I can go real psychological on this, but this is what we do to show in-group versus out-group. This is what we do with baseball teams, basketball teams, football teams. We do it with countries, do it with sororities, with fraternities, right? It's like, and you build a mystique around it, and people cultivate around it, and it's like part of your identity, like like your sorority, right?
Yeah.
What are your values?
I don't know. No, I know it's service and sisterhood and service to all mankind.
You all are the green and the pink ones, right?
Yes.
See, I know the colors. I'm not as good with the letters. But it builds this community.
It's community. It's family.
These people are like me.
What is that on Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Sense of belonging. What?
Sense of belonging is close to the top. It's before actualization.
Yeah. So you need to belong. That's what Maslow said.
Yep.
And that matters. And let's go, Brandon helps people belong. Who knows? I may feel that way one day.
Oh my God.
Let's go, Brandon-ish.
And then there's Dark Brandon.
What is that? See, we gotta do a whole.
Dark Brandon is like the flip. It's the Uno reverse card of the libs back. You know Uno reverse card? That's what the kids say. Anyway,
I don't know because I don't be around cheering like that.
so the Dark Brandon is okay. So it's like when Joe Biden does something cool.
All right.
Then it's like Dark Brandon, like Batman.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
I got it. I'm learning.
So there was a meme that was so funny coming after the State of the Union because a lot of Democrats were like, yeah, he really gave it to the Republicans, right?
Right.
So there was like Dark Brandon memes. One of them that was really great was kind of like Biden in this like vintage looking outfit and eating ice cream because that's like a thing with Joe Biden, I guess. And he's like, I'm here to kick ass and eat ice cream, and I'm all out of ice cream.
Wow, I missed that whole thing
It's
completely.
stupid, but
See, I need to follow different pages too.
It's just a flip on it. It
Right.
just gives a little,
What are we talking about here? It's
Levity.
culture. I get it.
It is culture.
It feels great to understand and to be understood. Oh, to be known.
Yeah. Yeah, and have people see you.
Yeah.
And know that you're upset. I mean, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like,
know that I'm
these
not
folks-
happy with stuff.
Yeah, that they got FJB on their truck. You know that they're not okay with whatever, is going on. And there's power in that. So it's a tough time. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a tough time for policy wonks like me.
Yeah. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh.
Shout out to Rihanna.
Oh,
and
yeah.
her second baby. I slept through the halftime show. I couldn't even stay awake. But then I woke up when Jalen Hurts was running it back. Yeah. We some Eagles fans in my house. So stay strong, Eagles fans. We will mount up.
I'm a Lions
wings
fan, so I was like, everybody
as
just
Eagles
have fun.
again. Yeah, just have fun because your team ain't never.
My team was never gonna go.
Somebody said that, like, wow, Rihanna baby made it to the Super Bowl before Lions. That's crazy. Wow. Anyway, you all, we are getting ready to bring this show to an end, but we can do this all night. Me and Cindy can talk.
It's good though.
But I be
It's what
talking
people
so
love.
much I get hungry.
Yeah,
And
it's time to
so
eat.
we hope that you all have a great evening. And shout out to the city of Fort Myers. Shout out to Juice Fresh Talk Podcast. Shout out to Big Mouth Media and everybody that's
Seed and Bean.
Shout out to Seed and Bean. Seed and Bean hosts us and gives us a place of warmth and compassion and intellectual conversations and lavender cappuccinos and stuff. Ooh, it's amazing.
Got some
And
love
so
for that. Good.
shout out to our community. We feel the love all throughout this place every time we come. So yeah, shout out
And
to
come
Cindy.
join us.
Yeah, come
And
join
shout out
us.
to Chantel. Like,
Who the hell is Chanel? See, that's the stuff I be talking about. I missed one little episode with you.
get your name. No.
And then now I'm Chanel.
My mouth is just getting tired because I taught 2 classes today too. I've been talking all day long.
Right.
But shout out to Chantel because these are tough things like to talk about. I mean,
And then to understand, like,
and it's okay.
we just need to be understood and understand,
to get out there.
True.
So thanks for joining us. Make sure you catch the recorded episode. We're going to have a little, blip of it. It's going to go out on our audio. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, do so. You can listen to it on Big
And you
Mouth
can set it
Media.
up where alerts come to your phone. Because I know one of my favorite platforms to listen to podcasts is Spotify.
We have it
So,
on Spotify.
Listen, just download the Spotify app if you use Android, or I have an iPhone, but I don't use Apple Music.
I use the iPad.
I use Tidal. Tidal lets me down on the podcast, but then Spotify builds me right back up.
But we're also on, we're on Audible. We are on Google.
Okay,
We are
okay.
on Apple. You can go directly to our webpage. Now, here's the cool thing. If you get a subscription on bigmouthmediafl.com for Juice. So not only you're going to help us, right, keep the lights on quite literally here
Keep
and
the microphones on.
get a new microphone because we had so much trouble, but that you're going to see the full episodes, right? So you'll see the full video episodes and you'll get all the whole content when we do special things like interview with the mayor, like when Chantel goes to meet her dream boy Trump. You're going to get to see it.
Oh my God, don't nobody care about Trump like that. Like, I just
You
don't
get what
wanna
I'm
go
saying,
hard.
though. You're going to get that
Don't
special
worry about
content.
it.
You're
Don't
going to see
worry
the
about
whole
it.
thing, and you get to help independent media like us.
We just
come
trying to
to
keep
you.
it real. We trying to bring you that juice, that fresh talk, healthy, on point. We want to be accurate with our learning, with our understanding. Hit us up, be a guest on the show. You know, get us stirred up, get our mental, stimulated, so we can understand and be true thinkers and true contemplators. Why is this lady pointing at your feet?
They're excited about my shoes.
They excited.
So let's
Damn,
let's
just
end
come
it for
in.
here.
Just looking through the window like that. Just come in, baby.
Hi.
Damn, it ain't that
We will
serious.
see you next time here next week,
I mean,
Thursday,
fingers
6
all
p.m.
on the glass, baby.
on Juice
Good
Fresh
night.
Talk. Thanks, everybody.
Good
Bye bye.
night.